Hello viewers, welcome to CEC lectures. Myself Dr. Preeti Jagmani. I am from Department of Computer Science, Aribhat College, University of Delhi. So in this series of introduction to programming using C++, till this point we have seen our operator overloading mechanism to be kind of implemented by using the member function, and another way I have told you that is overloading can be implemented also using friend function. So there are two ways available for the same kind of, we can say there are two mechanisms available for the same thing. Now there must be some difference. So whenever we are talking about friend functions, so why do we need friend functions in order to implement operator overloading when we already have member functions in place for this mechanism? So basically we can say our friend function are going to offer us the better flexibility, or we can say friend function for operator overloading offers better flexibility to the class. Why? Because these functions are not a member of the class and they do not have this pointer. So if you can kind of recall the code which we have discussed in the last program, that was temp.real is equals to real plus obj.real. So that real which is on the left side of your operator is actually referring to this, but here these functions, whenever I am talking about friend function, they are not the members of the class, therefore they don't have any this pointer. So now in the member function thing, what we have did, when we kind of overloaded a unary operator using the member function, we have not passed any argument, just because of the fact that one argument, or we can say, is already attached with that member function using that this pointer, but your friend function is not having any this pointer. So in order to overload a unary operator, we need to pass one argument, and in order to overload a binary operator, we need to pass two arguments. So this is kind of, we can say, very intuitive, that if we are talking about a unary operator, pass one argument which is to be kind of we can say operated which is to be operated upon, and if we are talking about binary operator, we need to pass two arguments. So this intuitiveness is actually provided by the friend function. This intuitiveness was not provided by the member functions. Also, please recall, when we were studying the postfix version of the increment operator, which was a unary operator, we have passed one integer within the bracket. That int was not considered as the member as the argument of that member functions. Now friend functions can access private members of a class directly. This is a well known fact, we all are available. Even though these friend functions are not the members of class, they can still be defined inside the class if desired. So we have kind of, we can say, best of both worlds when we are using the friend functions for operator overloading. That is, these are not members of the class, but they can still be defined inside the class, and also as far as number of parameters is concerned, this is going to give us a more intuitive picture, in the sense when we are going to overload a binary operator using friend function, we will be passing two arguments. When we will be overloading a binary unary operator, we will be passing only one argument. Now if we can look into the syntax of this friend function which is being used by operator overloading. So as it is a friend function, it has to be preceded by the keyword friend, then there is the keyword friend, then return type, with whatever return type you have, object of the class or whatever. So that return type operator is the keyword, then symbol of the operator which is going to be overloaded. And if we consider binary operator, then the two variables, variable 1 and variable 2, and then there is a code within that kind of, we can say, function. So, looking at the syntax, this will say, in case of member functions, we were not having this keyword friend. Here, in case of friend functions, we will be having the keyword friend, then the return type, the desired return type, and then we have the operator keyword, which is the symbol of the operator to be overloaded. For example, we are overloading the sum operator or addition operator, which is plus. So, we will say friend, return type, operator, operator symbol, variable 1 and variable 2. So, if you recall the previous, we can say, code of the class in which we have taken a complex class and we have added imaginary parts and real parts together, the syntax there will be friend complex. Complex is the return type, because that was actually returning the object of the type complex. Then friend complex operator plus, and within the bracket we can say obj1 and obj2 and the corresponding statements, whatever the code which we want to write here inside the friend function. So, this is basically, we can say, is the standard syntax through which these friend functions can be used for operator overloading. Also, we need to keep tab. One is on the number of variables in case of unary or in case of binary, and the second thing, which is kind of, we can say, these friend functions, as I have already told you, are not the members of the class, but they can be still defined inside the class if desired. So, we have to use these friend functions very carefully whenever we are talking about using them in case of the operator, in case of operator overloading, because these friend functions can access the private members of the class directly. So, here the things are simpler for us, that we do not need a member function to access the private members of the class directly. A friend function can also do the same thing. And also, having a friend function is actually more intuitive, especially for most of the binary operators. Now, why I am saying especially for most of the binary operators? Because just because of the fact, in case of a binary operator, the expectation of we can say a user or an expectation of the one who is checking the program is to have two parameters, as just because of the simple reason that this is a binary operator. And then we have also seen the syntax of the function when used with the help of the friend function. Now, let us try to see the demonstration of overloading or operator overloading using a friend function. So, first we will take a unary operator, then which is we can say in the next part we can see the binary operator as well. So, after this the standard IOStream and namespace is standard. Let us say we have taken a class which is named as unary friend and three private variables, three private integers, one which is a, b, c with the value respectively 10, 20 and 30. Within the public section, we have taken or we have written one input kind of, we can say, a function which is there to which is there to take the input named as get values, and it is taking value of a, b and c. Now, coming to the next, another function for the output thing, which is cout a, b and c with on the different lines. Now, what is actually we can say is important here is the syntax or the prototype of the operator function, which is defined with the which is defined as a friend function. So, we will say void friend. Void is the return type. We can always exchange this void and friend in terms of we can say sequence. We can write void friend, or we can say friend void. That's okay. So void friend, then the operator keyword, and here is the operator which is minus. So here we are going to overload the minus operator, and we have passed one object, and that object has been passed by reference. So we have passed unary friend %x. So %x is basically passing the object x of class unary friend using the referencing. Using the mechanism of pass by reference, and why we have seen why we have done so, the kind of we can say reason behind passing this using the referencing mechanism is already discussed. Let me quickly recap it here, that we actually don't want to create a duplicate object of this x. We actually want that x itself to be passed for this operator overloading function. So that's why it is being passed by reference. But please remember, in kind of we can say when we were talking about member function, this pass by reference was actually a choice. Here pass by reference is a kind of we can say compulsion when we talking about friend function. So basically whenever we are talking about operator overloading using the friend function, your objects, or we can say your arguments, will be kind of passed only by pass by reference. Now looking at to what this operator function is doing, as this is a unary function or unary operator I can say. So void operator minus unary friend, if looking into the code of this, we can say minus of x dot a will be initialized to x dot a. That means object name must be use it as a friend function, then minus of x dot b will be assigned to x dot b, and minus of x dot c will be assigned to x dot c. Now please notice here that here we don't have any we can say this operator, because whenever we are talking about friend function, they don't belong to any specific object, and therefore they don't have any this operator. So this pointer I can say. So here this operator overloaded function is actually passing the we can say negative value of that particular a, b and c to the actual variables, and that's why this is being passed as reference, not as value, because passing by value would have been created will definitely create one more object. And looking at the driver code, if we see, we have one object x1, and then we have taken x1 dot values, x1 dot get values function is already defined there, in which we have taken values of a, b and c, and then before overloading we have shown the value, and after overloading we have also shown the value, but in between we have we have written one statement which is minus x1. So here whenever I am writing minus x1, that means I am calling that overloaded operator minus, and that overloaded operator, what it is going to do here is actually returning the negated value of a, b and c, which are the private variables of your object x1. So one thing is very sure here, whenever we are talking about friend function, friend functions are actually allowed to access the private members of the class, and hence here minus x1 is actually a valid statement. And after minus x1, in order to show the difference that what were the values of before overloading, then what are the values after overloading, x1 dot show has been called. So if you can see, the values of A, B, C, let's say those were 10, 20 and 30, which was kind of, we can say, if you can see the code or if you can recall the code, those were actually we can say hard code. You can always ask the value of ABC from users. So before overloading, these values were 10, 20 and 30, and after this calling this x1 dot show, we have called that overloaded operator function using minus x1. So that minus x1 is going to negate the values of A, B and C, and the new values will be 10, 20 and 30, and so after overloading it will come as minus 10, minus 20 and minus 30, and this is what is actually, we can say, is the desired output which we were looking for from this operator overloading thing. So till this point we have covered your operator overloading using the friend function, and we have seen the we can say the case of or the scenario of a unary operator. And as you know that operator function is defined as a friend function and operator is overloaded using friend function. The statement minus x1 invokes the operator function. Actually this minus x1 is actually the responsible function for calling the overloaded operator minus on the object x1, and the object x1 is created. This object x1 is actually the object of the class unary friend. So in order to sum up this program, we can say we have created one object or x1 of the class unary friend, in which there are three private variables A, B and C with the values as 10, 20 and 30, and these values will be shown one time, which we can say before overloading, and then the overloaded function, overloaded operator function is being called by writing the statement minus x1. This minus x1 is actually invoking the operator function, and after kind of invoking the operator function, in order to view the results, that whether results are actually in the form which is desirable, which is desired by us, yes or no, we will call that show function once more, just to in order to check whether this has been properly done or not. So this was we can say is a kind of program in which your operator overloading is done for unary operator, and it is done using the friend function. So now when we talk about kind of unary operator, and we are passing one object within the parameter list, we can say, we can establish some facts about this operator overloading mechanism, that object itself acts as a source and the destination object. Now this is actually possible only when we are talking about the pass by reference mechanism. Pass by value mechanism will not allow the object to act as source as well as the destination object, and as you can see clearly, this can be accomplished by sending the reference of the object. So that referenced object is actually the source which is being passed, and the values were 10, 20, 30 of those private variables, and on those 10, 20 and 30 actually the operator overloading is implemented by calling minus x1, and hence the values of those 10, 20 and 30 will be changed as minus 10, minus 20 and minus 30. So that is why this is known as that object itself acts as a source and the destination object, and object x1 in the code is a reference of the object x, and as I have told you, these values of object x1 are replaced by itself by applying the negation. So x dot a is equals to minus of x dot a, x dot b is equals to minus of x dot b, and x dot c is equals to minus of x dot c. That is what the actually we can say the code of that overloaded operator. So, till this point this was for a unary operator. Now, let us see if we kind of try to implement the operator overloading using a friend function, not for a unary operator but for a binary operator. So, in case of a unary operator, we have we can say we have passed one parameter as the argument in the operator function. Now, let us see how it goes in terms of binary operator. So, binary operator is hash include iostream.h using namespace standard. These two kind of we can say conventional and standard statements. We have defined one class A in which there are two private we can say variables which are a and b of type integer, and there is a function which is the function get data, and it is taking two values in the variables c and d, and it is assigning this c variable to a and d variable to b. So, basically get data is taking values as the input. Now, there is a function which is void add, and we can say addition of a is we can say a dot get data, then enter the value of a and b both we have, then a2 dot get data. So, we have taken two we can say object variables a1 and a2, and for a1 and a2 we have taken their values of those private members, private members. And what we have done is a3 is equals to a2 plus a1. So, if you can see here what we have done, we have actually called the overloaded operator plus, but please mind it, I have not shown you the definition of this overloaded operator using the friend function as of now. So, a3 is equals to a2 plus a1, and then we have called a3 dot add, and then we have get ch and return 0. Now, coming to the definition of this we can say friend function. So, how are we going to write? So, we can say within the definition of that friend function, what we need to do is we need to assign two objects, or we need to pass two objects. One is a1, another one is a2, for which we have already used this function get data, and we have already filled a1 with the values and a2 with the values given by the user, and this is being kind of we can say these values for of a and b corresponding to a1 and a2 are set. Now, whenever I am calling a3 is equals to a2 plus a1, that means the friend function has to be called, and we can say by this time we have seen many of the we can say program in which we have written the operator function as the overloaded function. So, simply we can say this is returning an object. So, returning an object of type class A. So, we can say friend A, then operator plus, and we will be passing two objects. One is A ampersand A1 and another one is A ampersand A2. And then we can say a temporary object which is temp of class A temp, and temp dot A is equals to a2 dot A plus a1 dot A, temp dot B is equals to a2 dot A plus a1 dot B. This will be the, and then return temp, obviously this will be the precise code of we can say this friend function, and I am leaving this as the assignment we can say, or this as a kind of homework to do exercise for the viewers or for the students. And this will be the kind of if you enter the value of A and B as 2 and 5, and if you have for the object A1, and for the object A2 if you have entered the value of A and B as 7 and 9. So, addition of A will be 2 plus 7 has to be 9, and addition of B will be 5 plus 9 as 14. But here I have kind of, we can say, deliberately left the code for that operator, that overloaded operator, that you viewers, students have to write, and we have seen many example, and now that's not a very difficult exercise to write that code of the operator overloaded function, in which just remember that you will be passing two objects, and these two objects will be passed by reference, not by the mechanism of pass by value. This thing you need to be very careful with, and just we can say a 2-3 line of code, and you will be kind of sorted with this program. So, till this point what we have covered is, in this lecture we have covered the kind of we can say one program of overloading the unary operator using the friend function, and another program of overloading the binary operator. And here I am having one more program in which there is a class distance, and this is also a program to show binary operator overloading. And if we specifically talk about the friend function, so here you can see at the end of the screen that friend distance is the name of the class, and hence the return type here, operator plus and distance ampersand and comma distance ampersand. So, basically your distance is being or we can say objects of class distance are being passed as passed by reference mechanism, not by passed by value. And this distance class is having two variables, one is feet, another one is inches. So, d1 dot feet plus d2 dot feet will make the resultant d3 dot feet. d1 dot inches plus d2 dot inches will make the resultant d3 dot inches. So, I am sure that you are able to correlate both the programs. This is the first one I have left for you to write, and the second one the code is actually kind of, we can say it is available here. And within the main functions, within the main function we will declare the objects and use the overloaded operator as d3 is equals to d1 plus d2, and there are some standard show functions, and there are some standard we can say get value functions, or these values can also be taken with the help of direct constructor as it is done here. So, we have seen two programs basically to overload the binary operators using friend function, and we have seen one program to overload unary operator using friend function. And here is a list of references which is being used in order to prepare this lecture. Hope you had a fruitful learning. Thank you for watching.